Practicing and teaching submission surpasses reliance on the altar of petition. Leviticus 1 verse 1 and 2. Now Nadab and Abihu, the sons of Aaron, took their respective ceremonial censers, put fire in them, placed incense on it, and offered strange, unauthorized, unacceptable fire before the Lord, an act which he had not commanded them to do. And fire came out from the presence of the Lord and devoured them, and they died before the Lord. Remember, Aaron was an anointed and ordained high priest before God himself. 1 Samuel 2 verse 12. The sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, were worthless, dishonorable, unprincipled men. They did not know nor respect the Lord. Verse 22 to 25. Now Eli was very old, and he heard about everything that his sons were doing to all the people of Israel, and how they were lying with the woman who served at the entrance of the tent of meeting, the tabernacle. Eli said to them, "Why do you do such things, the evil things that I hear from all these people? No, my sons, for the report that I keep hearing from the passers-by among the Lord's people is not good. If one man does wrong and sins against another, God will intercede and arbitrate for him. But if a man does wrong to the Lord, who can intercede for him?" But they would not listen to their father, for it was the Lord's will to put them to death. 1 Samuel 4 verse 10 and 11. So the Philistines fought. Israel was defeated, and every man fled to his tent. It was a very great defeat, for 30,000 foot soldiers of Israel fell. Also, the ark of God was taken, and the two sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, were killed. Remember, Eli was a devoted high priest unto God. Job 1 verse 1 to 5. There was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job, and that man was blameless and upright, and one who feared God with reverence, and abstained and turned away from evil because he honored God. 7 sons and 3 daughters were born to him. He also possessed 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 yoke pairs of oxen, 500 female donkeys, and a very great number of servants. So that this man was the greatest and wealthiest and most respected of all men of the east in northern Arabia. His sons used to go in turn and feast in the house of each one on this day or on his day, and they would send word and invite their 3 sisters to eat and drink with them. When the days of their feasting were over, Job would send for them and consecrate them, rising early in the morning and offering burnt offerings, which is sin offerings, according to the number of them all. For Job said, "It may be that my sons have sinned and cursed God in their hearts." Job did this at all such times. Job 1 verse 18 to 19. While one messenger was still speaking, another messenger came and said to Job, "Your sons and your daughters were eating and drinking wine in their oldest brother's house, and suddenly a great wind came from across the desert and struck the 4 corners of the house, and it fell on the young people, and they died. And I alone have escaped to tell you." Acts 19 verse 11 to 16. God was doing extraordinary and unusual miracles by the hands of Paul, so that even handkerchiefs or face towels or aprons that had touched his skin were brought to the sick, and their diseases left them, and the evil spirits came out of them. Then some of the traveling Jewish exorcists also attempted to call the name of the Lord Jesus over those who had evil spirits, saying, I implore you and solemnly command you by Jesus whom Paul preaches. 7 sons of one Sceva, a Jewish chief priest, were doing this. But the evil spirit retorted, I know and recognize and acknowledge Jesus. And I know about Paul, but as for you, who are you? Then the man in whom was the evil spirit leaped on them and subdued all of them and overpowered them, so that they ran out of that house in terror, stripped naked and wounded. Proverbs 22 verse 6. Train up a child in the way he should go. Even when he is old, he will not depart from it. Train, to dedicate, to initiate, and to disciple. A child, a young boy, a young girl, a youth, or a servant. Depart, to turn aside or take away from. What do we learn from all these scriptures? What revelation is God giving us as parents, as leaders, as overseers of people that is in our stead, as youth, as servants, as children? When children reach the age of understanding, taking responsibility for their actions in their own right and dealing with its consequences, they have to cultivate and prioritize a lifestyle foundational on a relationship of exclusivity, a fellowship of intimacy, and a communion of oneness opposite to the Creator of heaven and earth, Elohim. For righteous and holy living surpasses an exchange of wishes for what we call prayer at the junction of seeking mercy and grace, no matter the one that petitions on their behalf. Again, practicing and teaching submission surpasses reliance on the altar of petition. Shalom.